My name is Ashley, and this is Let's Talk Dispatch.
I do. You're gonna do it. Do it really well.
And I believe the world needs more dispatchers.
Around in the mud, blood, and beer.
Years that I'm not working 4th of July. 4th of July.
Hey, community policing, right? What about community dispatch?
So on this show, with the help of my guests, we will educate, empower, and support the heroes behind the headset. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode here on Let's Talk Dispatch with me, Ashley, the raspy dispatcher. I actually just went to a Paramore concert last night, and I know that being able to go to concerts and go do these things is a total privilege that I'm so lucky to have. But if you have not had a chance to go see music live, even if it's like small town outside, they haven't made it yet, do it. It's such an awesome experience. And the singer in Paramore was actually sick, so they rescheduled to last night. And even sick, they were rocking it. And I mean, just seeing someone have so much fun and like really live their hobby, their purpose, their talent is it's so amazing. And I really think it's something we can learn from in our regular everyday lives. Go do the things that you really enjoy doing, because it really does help uplift us in every other aspect of our lives. So that's my little 2 cents on that. For my guest today, I have two. Heather Blaney, CTO, EMD, QA dispatcher since 2021, who also brought in a special addition to their Center County 42 PU, to be exact, their first ever ESA Skunk and a dispatch center Nugget.
Hi.
Hello. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I am great. We actually got to meet at Nina when we had our booth at Nina. You're walking around and came up to the booth and wanted to come on the show. So thank you so much for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nina was so much fun. It was the first time I'd had to go, and it was a blast. I'm an APCO right now, so I didn't really get to do APCO, but I met so many amazing people at Nina. It was just a lot.
Yes, and like my little spill about the Paramore concert and going out and seeing live music, go to a conference. They're so fun. Like, even if you're going to your local chapters conferences, which are on the smaller scale, you learn so much. You meet so many different people, learn so many new things. I mean, it is really an experience if you're able to get out there and get to some of them.
Oh yeah, agreed. Nugget and I actually were invited to be speakers at the Indiana Nina next month.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about you and how did you get into public safety?
Completely by accident. I lived in Wyoming, and I managed hotels in Wyoming and South Dakota. And I moved from that area out to Southern Indiana when I found out my father was sick. Came out here. There was no need for hotel management in the area that we live in. So I got into retail, and I was kind of sick and tired of that. Noticed that Knox County Central Dispatch was hiring. Never in a million years did I think I'd actually get hired. I mean, I was 39, so almost 40 years old with no experience. But my interview went great, and I shadowed and was like, I think that this is something I can do. I wasn't scared off and just got right into it.
That's amazing. I feel like that is something that a lot of people, when they reach out to me, ask about, like, getting into the dispatch game, quote unquote, later in life. Like, I've had someone who, like, I've been a teacher my whole career and I'm looking for a change, and it is a job that I think anyone honestly can do at any point of their life, because we all in some aspect and way have dealt with customer service. And I mean, in my opinion, that's kind of the root of what we're doing. Other than navigating emergencies, like we're providing service to folks just happen to be in crisis.
Oh yeah. And everybody's got some kind of experience that they can bring to it. I mean, just experience. I mean, at 39, so much life experience that some of the calls I took, I was able to empathize a little bit more than some of my other partners who maybe had never experienced what that caller themselves had experienced.
Yeah.
So
And that having that life experience really is so important and so valuable to the role. Cause like you said, if it's something I haven't experienced and we're working together, I'm gonna and you can chime in and give me some, feedback, something to say to that person to help, especially if we're talking with like a mental health crisis, it's just so valuable the tools that we bring in our own tool belts just from the lives that we've lived.
exactly. Agreed. Yes. He's so like antsy right now. Usually when we're like so like chill, but I think it's because we're at home.
Oh yeah, he's
Like,
like, I'm trying to get out of here. What is happening, mom?
he's like, "I'm not working. Why do I sit still?"
Well,
Oh
what
my
was it
goodness.
like? What was it like in the beginning for you when you first started? You had never done it before. What was that experience like for you?
Completely overwhelming. And honestly, I think if anyone tells me differently about their like first few months, they're full of it. Because
Liars.
yeah, like there's so much technology that I had to learn and nothing is the same. So just when
Mm,
I think, okay, I got this, I took 3 domestic calls. A domestic call would come in just completely different. And I was like, and I just thrown right back to, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
yeah.
And like it's overwhelming because and I've seen unfortunately a lot of the people that came into our center, they left after a short period of time because they felt the same way I did, where usually I pick up on things rather quickly and I want to
Mhm.
learn everything about everything. But no matter, it just felt like I wasn't catching on fast enough
Mhm.
until I finally realized it's not a catching on kind of a job.
Mhm.
Everything is changing. There's constantly moving parts and technology is advancing and we're always getting new programs. And so I had to learn pretty quickly to set that aside for myself and that
Mhm.
in this job, it's not about perfectionism
Mhm.
because nothing is ever going to be the same, ever with this job.
Mhm. It's so true, and I think that it's something if you're listening and you're, like, going through training and you're just like, "Man, like, I can't get it, my trainer always has something to say about something," and it's so true because our training is, like, cutthroat because for months, weeks, whatever your system is set up in your center is like there's an individual whose job is to just critique, 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 critique. And it's like every single call, there's usually a DOR where they're just typing, call came in for this, they did this, and there's always feedback because that is the type of job we're in. Once you get off of training, you're not the best dispatch in the world. It's not like you've done, you finished, you're always learning something. You're always gonna be able to learn something, add something to your tool belt, do something. Hello. 42 PU, right? But you're always going to be able to do that. So if you're going through training, you're like, yo, I just hang in there because that is their job to critique you heavily. And then once you get through it, you're able to find your footing and like the skies open up.
Yeah, it's definitely more about confidence, making sure that you are confident versus. I mean, it's just like I said, constantly moving parts. So as long
Yeah.
as you are enough to take on all of the new technology and everything, then
Mhm.
okay.
Well, let's talk about animals in the dispatch center and Nugget here. How did this all happen? Because I feel like I remember one of my coworkers ended up having an ESA with their dog, and I remember that being a lengthy process. How did the skunk come into the picture?
So actually, I've had him for 3 years now. So
Mhm.
I've had him before I was working over there, and they all knew I had a skunk, and it was
Mhm.
just he isn't an actual ESA. Like I don't have the doctor's note for him. He's
Mhm.
just always been comforting for me because normally he's not this rambunctious. This this is rambunctious. This is
Yes.
this is high energy level for him, which is nice. But I just reached out to my physician and said, hey, I think I need to get on some kind of antidepressants. So I was kind of like having him around me a lot more. And I asked my partners to start, hey, would you mind if it's okay with our director? Can he come in during my shift? You know, I'll make sure, you know, that we set ground rules and everything. And I went to my director. My director was like, yeah, that's fine. We're a very small center.
Yeah.
One of my other partners would bring her dog in. So I started taking him in sporadically with me when I was just having a day. And then some of my other partners started kind of like grabbing onto him and holding on to him. And we went to the county versus city Salvation Army bell ringing. It was like who can do better. Yeah. And I brought Nugget. Poor city. They were well, we won. And the local newspaper had heard from somebody that she knew that saw us out at the bell ringing and reached out to my director. So the director invited her in to do an interview with us. And then a couple of the local television stations picked up on that. And then national television stations picked up on it. Nugget he's been on Inside Edition.
Oh, okay, Nugget.
We did an edition and we did an interview live on Tucker Carlson.
Oh my gosh, so freaking cool.
And my director was so thrilled. Like it gave us, it put our name out in the community. I mean, everyone knows 911. But we were able to actually get the attention of the people in our community who wanted to start inviting us to these like family events so that we could educate people, you know, what to do if you accidentally call 911 and disconnected phones can still call 911 and the things that you would assume people understand, but they don't. So Nugget kind of just became our mascot, first unofficial and then official mascot. And he's a skunk. So, I mean, he draws attention of everybody that, I mean, even people who are like, ugh, still want to pet him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I scented. And like, okay. Like, yeah, when are you going to say you got to pet a skunk? Like,
yeah, I mean, I know at least at the 2 police departments that I've worked at, the only time I hear about skunks is like an email warning the officers like, hey, there's some skunks over there. So like, be careful when you get out your patrol vehicle, you know, or like watch the canines because the skunks are around. Like you don't get to pet them. Like that is not a thing very often, you know?
Yep.
But how did you come across Nugget? How did you folks meet?
I have several adult kids. My second child actually found him on Facebook through a breeder and then brought him home.
Oh my gosh. And, Facebook, man. Facebook got everything.
I know. So she found him through Indiana Skunk Rescue. And hey, baby. And I was like, no, we don't know how to take care of him. So I was like, keep him away from me. I don't like I was mad at her, and he just kept like, I don't know if it was because I wanted nothing to do with him, but so he would actually seek me out, climb into my bed with me, and like curl up. And after about 6 months, my daughter was like, you know, he really doesn't like me. She's like, so he just became my guy.
That is hilarious.
Several skunks that we got through Indiana Skunk Rescue. The other ones we had were all rehomed with us. They were mistreated and then surrendered to her. But we've had him since he was about 8 weeks old. He was a baby when we got him. And started socializing him from the time that I decided that I guess he was sticking around.
Right? That's so funny. So I feel like your daughter's like watching you on national TV at home, like she didn't want that skunk. Now you're over here on Inside Edition.
I love it though. Like he comes to work. Well, one, he knows. He trained himself. Domestic skunks will use puppy pads or litter boxes. Dude, you can't fly. They'll use puppy pads. But at work, he trained himself to go outside. So we actually have like a little sign that says my skunk poops here. And he goes into like this little bushy area.
That
And
is amazing.
when he's at work, he gets special food. So like junk food that we all like to eat when we're at work, fast food, that he at home. So
Yeah,
he is work with a good place. And
yeah,
he really is so territorial. Like work is his spot. If you
yeah.
are in the center, you're fine. He's not, he likes people, but
Yeah.
he won't even think twice about anybody that's in the center, even if he's never even met them before. Cause
Oh my
it's
gosh.
a safe spot now.
Yeah. But I feel like this is such an amazing example of like how we bring our own stuff with us, right, into our centers, and how when you, I mean, honestly, live your true authentic self. Like my skunk makes me happy, and that's okay. And I'm gonna bring that to my work, as long as it's okay with all my folks there, and they allow you to be your authentic self as well. There's acceptance. It ends up making work a better place, even in
Oh
the
yeah.
sense of bringing a skunk to work.
Oh yeah. I remember asking my director when he told me he wanted me to start like going off and doing things like the events, and he wanted me to like pick up the social media stuff. And I asked him, want me to like dress up and kind of hide my tattoos? And I love him because he's like, no, why would I want you to do that? And I was like, you might want to watch what you say, because I'm gonna show up in jeans.
Yeah. I've been looking for some more ink, so we're not going.
Yeah, I'm get a kick out of it because we've got like the little tattoos, 911 tattoos. I'll be like, I love giving tattoos out, and always giggle, and they're like, we bet. Like, yeah, here.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I mean, and it's true. I think that, like I have tattoos, and I think a lot of people were getting into first responder roles, emergency services, police, dispatch, fire. Historically, tattoos weren't looked at as a great thing to have, but we're becoming more accepting as a field, as individual departments, to allowing the tattoos to come in and express ourselves, and it's just another way to allow people to be people and really connect with the community, because the community out there got tattoos, you know, and they're gonna want to hang out with the skunk regardless of what tattoos you have on your body. So it's amazing that your director is like, yeah, flaunt it,
Oh yeah.
because we need to be ourselves in this tough role.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So what does a day for Nugget look like? I mean, he comes into the center. Does he have like a bed? Like what's the vibe for Nugget at his station?
I have a bed that I'll bring in, and I put it in the corner behind my desk. For some reason he likes that corner. I think it's because it's really cool back there.
Mm.
But I have a crate that I bring him in, and he's only in that crate when we're at work, and it's open the whole time we're there, so he can come and go. It's his safe spot, and he's got their skunks are like ferrets with nests, so like they'll
Okay.
drag things in and they'll steal your clothes. So he'll just kind of try and make his nest either in the bed, or he'll make a nest in his crate.
What
He'll
has
come
he
out,
stolen that you guys have found in there? You're like, I've been
oh my
looking for this.
socks and jeans, and pajama pants. And they get so mad. Like, I'll clean out their nest, and I'm like, this is mine, and this is mine. And I threw the matched sock away because I thought the sock was gone. And they out, and they get mad. They like stomp when I clean out their nests. And
That is amazing.
so like for days, they'll like just stick their tail up at me and sidewalk. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, but for some reason, they know the clean clothes. So if I leave our clean laundry basket anywhere for more than 10 minutes, they're dragging clean laundry. And I'm like,
Oh my gosh. It's a plot twist when the county, the dispatch skunk is a thief, you know?
I know. Right?
Did Nugget go through backgrounds? Because
So he can't climb, and they can't claw anything up. They've got massive claws, but they're for digging, so they're not sharp at all. So the most I have to worry about with him at work is trying to get into our trash cans. And that's like, if he's in a spunky mood. Normally
Yeah.
he's just like, I'm at work, I'm gonna sleep. He knows when it's time to eat, and that's about it.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure everyone listening is like, the big question, do they not, what do they call it? I'm blinking right now.
So his
Spray,
plan was,
spray.
yep, his scent gland, domestic skunks, their scent glands are removed when they're about 2 weeks old before we even get
Okay,
them.
okay,
And so he is scented and he is neutered, so no
okay.
little babies anywhere. But they actually, just a little PSA, I guess. My skunks all came from a fur farm in Iowa, and the fur
Okay.
farm, they use their pelts and they sell the animals to the USDA to do research. And Indiana Skunk Rescue will get at least 20 of them a year from this fur farm and adopt them out as pets.
Yeah.
So they take part of their scent glands are actually used in perfumes.
Oh, what in the world?
Yeah, because of the oil that is in their scent gland. So that's when an adult skunk spray sticks around forever, it's because it's covered in oil. Yeah.
Wow. You know what? You learn something new every day. There was one of my coworkers, and now my fiance, to be honest, there's a face, gosh, it's like snail face care, and it's like snail snot. I don't know what the proper term is, but it's used whatever the snails secrete. It's kind of like that
Bugs.
same. Yeah, they like and they people put it on their face now. I'm assuming not a large amount of it. I'm sure there's some essence of it in here, but yeah, that's like the vibe, and they're using it for facial care. And it's a whole thing. So, it does not surprise me that when I'm spraying some smell good on me, that I'm probably got some skunk gland coming with it.
Ode to skunk.
Yeah, right? Like, that's all I can afford. I work for the city. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. um, So, do you remember any of your first calls for service or early calls when starting to be a dispatcher?
I don't really remember my first few calls, and I'm not sure why. I mean, I remember my very first call was an accidental call, and I was relieved, and then immediately, now I got to go through that whole first.
Okay, bye. It's okay. Bye.
Yeah, I got in the habit when I call them back or when they stay on the line and they say no emergency. I'm like, oh, I'm so happy to hear there's no emergency.
Right? Like, yes, thank you.
But for the first time, I was kind of like left on my own. And there were only two of us working. Like I said, we're a small center and it was storming and I was working overnight. And my partner was on the call with the police department. And there was some guy, like, I don't know what the background was on it, but he was trying to get into the police department and they'd locked him out. And so he called 911. I don't know why. He thought that I was inside the police department. So he's yelling at me and I'm trying to calm him down. And my partner's like, just keep him talking. And then just left me. And I was like, this is like big mad, like trying to break into a place where they're trying to figure out what they want to do. And you're just keep him talking.
Keep him talking.
So I did. So I was so proud of myself because I started asking about his family, his kids. His wife was there and she kind of seemed like the calm one. So I'm like, hey, talk to me. Let your wife talk to them. Like, just tell me what is going on.
Yeah.
And as soon as I wasn't in the police department, because we're not in the police department, we're on our own. Yeah. He a lot. So I was like, oh, well, how many kids do you have? Oh, how old are them? Oh my gosh, just babies. Well, what brought you to friends? Yeah. So I kept him, and every time he'd start to yell, I'm like, no. Talk to me. Tell me about your dog.
Yeah. I have a skunk. Can I tell you about Nugget?
My partner kept looking at her and then she hangs up and I'm still over here. And I'm like,
right? Like, what are we doing?
what am I supposed to do now? Like, and it all worked out. Like, the guy immediately calmed down and he was so awesome because he's like, "You're really good at your job." And I'm like, "Thanks." I hung up and I was like, "No, I'm not." That one sticks out to me an awful lot because it was the first time I was on my own, and it was this massive thing where I had no idea, like, what am I supposed to do? Like,
And it's a prime example of how in our jobs, most of the time we're working with like 30% of the info. I mean, to be honest, like I only got what you're giving me. And at this point, I got an upset guy, and you're telling me they're aware of it, but they haven't quite figured out what they're doing with it yet. So now we're tag teaming, trying to help de-escalate a situation that I don't really know the full situation to yet.
yeah.
You know?
And I'm like, it's not me. I'm not in the police.
Yeah. All the
Look
time.
at the cameras. I'm not there.
Yeah, it's not me. I had all the time, like, they're like, "Officer," and I'm like, let me just move my gun over while I'm sitting, it's poking me in my in my dispatch chair right now. Like, no, not an officer. But it's so true because I know I would imagine, and I think we've all probably experienced frustration in working with our units and like handling calls and trying to get the most information. And for you, I think I think for me, like the best way to explain it is like you get the call and the guy's like, "There's blood everywhere," and you're like, "There's blood everywhere," and you're telling the officers like, "You gotta get there. There's blood everywhere. Someone's hurt." And the officer gets there and they're like, "It was a speck of blood on the wall," and you're just like, "What? Like how?" Like how does it go from there's blood everywhere to like a drop of nail polish? You know what I mean? Like what is happening? But it happens so often. So I know for dispatch, it's like we have to report what it is. What it is, right? I mean, I remember one time, this isn't my story, but it was told to me in my academy. They had like a verbal domestic. I think there might have been a restraining order, and she was calling her child's father was outside. And, in the city I was working in, it's a high call volume. Being outside is a violation, but it's not high priority just yet, right? So it's not we're not flying, we're not pulling officers to go if we have no officers available. And so they're updating the call and just like, "Yeah, he's going to the trunk of his car." And he's like, "Going to the trunk of his car." And he's like, "Yeah, he's walking to the door, okay, And then all of a sudden they hear like a pop on the, she's like, "What was that?" And he's like, "He just shot through the door, hit my cousin in the leg." And she's like, And it's like you have to report what's happening, even if you're like not necessarily believing them, because you never know what's actually gonna happen or happening, because for that distance they're like, "Okay, he has a gun," and because they just didn't believe her because she was so mellow, like, "Yeah, he's getting his gun out the car," and you're like, "You're getting his gun out the car because you're just so calm that this guy got a gun," and then you hear the shot and you're like, "Oh, good thing I was typing it's a gun because he had a gun." But yeah, we get it all the time.
Because I think I need that.
Right? Like what?
Oh my gosh.
It's really crazy out there. I mean, I was asked at like a family get together, like, what is your takeaway from doing this job? And it's just like people are crazy. Like the world is wild, I guess is a better way to say it. The world is wild, and do not be surprised when you see the wild out there in the world, and just know like you do your best to shelter yourself from it, but it's going to be out there. Don't stop living your life because the world's crazy, like it's gonna be what it is. And all you can do is be vigilant and continue to live your life, because people are living theirs just the way they want to live them.
Yeah.
With that being said, what advice would you give someone who's considering a career in dispatch?
definitely do research. Maybe listen to some calls before you go. I mean, you can find them anywhere. Like, imagine how you're going to feel listening to that and not being able to do much of anything. Shadow, 100%. If they let you shadow. I sat and watched for about 4 hours. I was in there, and it was busy while I was in there. Like I said, small center. So it just so happened to be busy while I was in there. But I've seen people come in and shadow and then immediately be like, yeah, this isn't for me. And they waste your time, but you don't really want to get in there and go through all this training and then be like, ooh, I don't know if I can. And emotions have nothing to do with it. I used to say I'm too emotional. I used to cry at commercials and movies.
Oh, that's me. 1,000%.
I'm gonna cry. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 with the baby balloons, rockets. Oh yeah.
My fiance makes fun of me all the time. I'm like, I'm a crier, leave it alone.
I don't think I could do this. And it's different. It's completely different. And it's not that you're unemotional. It's just a little easier to check yourself. So definitely make sure that you talk to, you research it. And maybe even just reach out to people on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. I refuse to get back on Facebook. But reach out to people and ask them, like, if you had a chance to do it all over again, would you? And don't give up. This isn't the kind of job where you're going to catch on like that. You're just not. And that's not just my experience, but from what I've seen from the people we've had, we've hired, and then that was the main reason why these guys left, is they were like, I'm used to picking things up quickly and I'm not picking this up. So I don't think I ever will. And that's just not it. And if you're 39 or 40, you can still do it.
That's right. And because we need more dispatchers. Okay. We need them. Come try it out.
Yes, we do. And it's just the community. Like, it's such a mentally, like, it's such a strong community. And I have to say, the community of women that I've met since I've started, like, going to the NINA conference, and it's fantastic. It's mental health positive. And it took this job, and I guess maybe my kids being adults, for me to finally put my mental health first, because I was like, how can I be most efficient at my job if I'm struggling from anxiety or depression myself? And so first time I put that on the, front burner for me. So this job, or, being a dispatcher, it's not a job. It sounds so cliche, but it's not a job. Like, it's a life choice. It's a career. I mean, it's something that I want to do for the rest of my life, and I want to continue to grow at it. And I think that if somebody who's looking into it gets past that first, holy cow, I don't think I can do this, I think they're going to feel the exact same way. And they're going to be so glad, like, for themselves that they've done. Because there are calls that I've taken, have no music on, and you're driving on your way home, like, windows down, no music, complete silence. And I get home and I'm like, I took that call and I survived it. Like, I mean, it sucks, but it's like, I survived that call. So then you get a call where somebody's like, oh yeah, my cat got stolen. And you're like, really?
That cat just out there living their best life. Stop it.
Or a 911 call where somebody's like, there's a cat in my yard. I'm like, okay, does the cat have a gun?
Yeah.
What do you want to do? So
it happens so often. And I think it's true. I think, you have to really do, like, some self-reflecting, right? It's like, where am I at my personal life? And, we will be exposed to trauma. And, we bring our own trauma to the job as well. And we all handle our trauma differently. So it is definitely figuring out if it is a balance for you.
Hold on. You got to see this.
I see Nugget. Oh, what's happening? Oh, hot nugget.
He was laying on his back.
Oh, I was like, whose pajamas is that? Did you steal some pajamas?
Yeah.
Oh.
My son's.
Oh my gosh, so freaking.
I was hoping to get him. He was laying on his back with his feet up in the air, but he doesn't really catch him cute.
You're like, no, mom, stop it. Oh my gosh. But Heather Nugget, thank you so much for coming up to Nina, meeting me, having, making this connection. It's one of the reasons we're trying to get out to some of these conferences is to meet more folks and, get more people onto the show and listening to the podcast. So I feel like you're a proven a person to the theory. So thank you so much for.
Oh, thank you. Out. This has been so much fun. I really do appreciate it. I really, really do appreciate it. And it was great meeting you at Nina. And like I said, everybody that I've met is just so fantastic. Phenomenal.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you again. I'm going to kick you out and I'll be right back with you. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. That was another amazing episode here on Let's Talk Dispatch. Heather, again, thank you so much. Excuse me. Thank you so much for coming out, bringing Nugget with you, and more importantly, just being your authentic self in your center and letting that create an awesome environment for you and your coworkers to work in with Nugget and having that extra relief and cuddles at work. It really does go a long way for us to be able to just be ourselves at work and bring our skunks to work. That should be a new movement we all create. So of course, like, subscribe, tell a friend. Until next time, everybody, stay raspy. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let's Talk Dispatch, a Raspy Dispatcher production. If you like the podcast, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a 5-star review, and of course, tell a friend. If you want to be a guest, head to the raspydispatcher.com and check out our additional resources. Until next time, stay raspy, everybody.